I basically live day by day. Today, I may be feeling absolutely fine, and the next day, I can barely move from one space to another. So, with children, and the joint pain and all the different symptoms that come along with it, it's a very difficult illness to have. My biggest fear is not completing my will. And I say that because I've experienced so many different things within 2 years. Literally, I would say that, like, for example, in November, I went into the hospital and my temperature was like 106 and my blood pressure was like 53. And no one knew what was going on with me. And because of that, being in the hospital so many times, having them to put different inserts in your jugular veins, I never know exactly what's going to happen. Not knowing the symptoms because it seems like it's a reoccurring thing. So I would say my biggest fear is actually it's dying. I'll be honest with you. I actually say that, I'm gonna start working on my will and I procrastinated. And then then I'm thinking to myself, my goodness, what if something happens to me today? And then what? I have 3 children who my family will have to tend to. And I don't have everything spelled out. It's a day by day thing. I would say sometimes my memory, it takes a lot sometimes to really focus and concentrate on certain things because my memory sometimes is very short and I have short-term memory. And the ability to use my hands. So you just never know. You just never know. There is a cure that needs to be established. The research needs to be there. And I'll be honest with you, the symptoms that I go through, I really wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Living day by day, I don't think anyone would want to live day by day and not knowing what the next day is going to be like. Going from one physician to another. I have maybe at least 5 doctors. Time that's taken away from work. Time that's taken away from my children. 90% of the time, I'm having some form of joint pains. That's when I started getting, sometimes get depressed because I'm used to living a certain lifestyle. Sometimes he said, well, Mommy, are you going to make it? Because I literally have to crawl up the steps sometimes when I'm trying to, go up our stairways. Boy, I really can't explain it, but it is definitely an illness that it's very painful. It really is. It really is.
The lung involvement had really taken over my life. I had about 12 to 15% of my lungs functioning and was on 24-hour-a-day oxygen. I had been on steroids for 20 years, so I weighed 254 pounds. I had failed all of the conventional lupus treatments. So they put me on oral chemotherapy at home, which is very dangerous and can cause bladder cancer, but it was the only thing that they had to keep me alive. I have brittle bones from the years of steroids. I may have to have hip surgery one day because of the steroids. I contacted Chicago, Northwestern University, Dr. Richard Burt, who is doing stem cell transplant research for lupus. He had only done a few at the time. When I talked with him, he had done 3. They were successful, but he had only done 3, which was really a difficult decision because I had a 9-year-old son, and I wanted to see him grow up, but at that time, there was no hope to see him grow up. And a year later, I was able to read a book. This was 2 years after my transplant now. I was able to read a book. I was able to help my son with his math again, and remembering how to do simple algebra that I had done, years before.